I actually had to do this. Sorry, I don't usually do that. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and students, and everyone joining us today. Welcome to the November 18th meeting of the Blackstone Millville Regional School District School Committee. I invite you to join and stand me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, I, for one, am thrilled to see an entire audience here. This is marvelous, and I can't wait to celebrate all of you. But we do have a little bit of business before we do that, starting with the introduction of members. And I'll start over here.
Madison Marchand, Blackstone.
Amanda Gilmain, Millville. Tara Larkin, Millville.
Erin Vinaco, Millville.
Jane Reggio, Millville.
Sarah Williams, Blackstone.
Tim Howell, Blackstone.
Carrie Gaudette, Blackstone.
Patty Sacco, Blackstone.
Jason DeFalco, Superintendent.
And from our student representatives, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the district, clearly.
Yes.
But what else is going on?
The annual Powder Puff game is next Wednesday, which is the half day before Thanksgiving. Our Crystal and Chess clubs started last week.
Our what club?
Crystals,
That's what I thought.
the Crystal clubs and the chess clubs.
Oh, two different things.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And winter sports start after Thanksgiving, and those sports are both boys basketball and girls basketball and indoor track.
Then we have Drama Club. Their play was originally supposed to be on December 3rd and 4th, but they moved it to the 10th and 11th, so that's Friday night and then Saturday afternoon heading into the evening. And Food for Thought, which is a new food class at BMR, partnered with the marketing class to put together a wrap lunch for teachers today, since there were parent-teacher conferences. And then today we're all here to celebrate volleyball winning the Central Mass Division III tournament and band winning nationals.
Yay. Yes, we are. Okay. Next on our agenda is consent agenda A, which are the items that include our warrants and the minutes from the meeting of October 28th. I will entertain a motion to approve those items.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Moved by Amanda, second by Carrie. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of consent agenda A, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
At this point in our meeting, we generally open it up to public forum if anybody has anything that they would like to share with the committee. Please come forward.
I'm going to be very quick.
Jennifer Dean Wing, Millville, Mass. So I watched your last meeting, and I know that you're going to be bringing up later in regards to the subcommittee policy on the jackets, and so that's great. I know you all probably have researched and looked, but I just want to be sure that it stays special, it stays as an accomplishment, and it stays equal too, in a sense. That I know in high school, I was a sports player. I never achieved that jacket, but it was something that we strive for. It was something that you got excited about. And I even heard about the cross country and about football, like they don't have the districts and they don't have this, and you have a lot to decide there. But I think it shouldn't be, let's feel good about ourselves and school pride, because we have sweatshirts and we have hats for that. This is an accomplishment. And I just hope that when you do vote on that, you think about that for the students and for the school. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? Okay. Well, for the next item, we are going to take things a little bit out of order, and we are going to review that policy JJIBA, which is the championship jacket policy. We had a first reading of it with a few amendments at the last meeting and had that very discussion that Ms. Wing just talked about. And that was what are some of the ultimate things that we would like to see students achieve? And I think we outlined them clearly here. If there is a district meet, it's that. If there is a central Mass athletic directors meet, it's that. And of course, if it's a state championship or a national championship, and each sport was different, so we worked with the athletic director. You will see the changes that are in here. And at this point in time, before we open it up for discussion, I'll entertain a motion to approve JJIBA as amended in our packet.
So moved.
Moved by Aaron, is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll let Tim.
Okay, Tim. All right, any discussion?
I have a question, Jane.
Mhm.
In the spring, we have baseball and softball just under the CMADA tournament. Oh, wait, no. Never mind. I didn't see it listed under the state tournament earlier when I was looking at this.
Okay.
Sorry
Yep.
about that.
Okay. Anyone else?
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. I was reading it backwards when I was just gonna. For the state tournament, are we listing field hockey, boys and girls soccer, volleyball also under a state tournament? Where we have them just under CMADA, but baseball and softball are under both in the spring.
Yes, they would all, anybody who has a state tournament should also be listed under the state tournament. So I will accept that amendment to make sure that the list is clarified, because the list doesn't go in the policy.
Okay.
Anyone else? Any issues with the policy? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of approving JJIBA as amended, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Having done that, I am very pleased to recognize two teams, two organizations that will be awarded jackets if you don't have BMR jackets, which clearly some of you have beautiful ones on already. And so you will get an additional patch is what our policy reads. But I'm not sure. Anybody have a preference of where we want to start? Well, it says the marching band, so do we have the what do you call the
Trophy?
drum major?
Drum major?
Drum major.
What do you call these people?
Mr. Mark. Yeah.
Mr. Marcotte's here.
Sit down.
Come on.
Don't worry. I'll stay.
We can get more chairs going. Well, first and foremost, congratulations
Thank you.
Thank
on
you
an
so
amazing
much.
season. I had the privilege of going to watch at the home show and enjoyed it very, very much. I would love to have been in New Jersey, but didn't get that privilege. But I did watch some video. And do we have
Yes.
video?
Yes.
Jesse, do we have video?
We want to let them talk. I think he's hiding.
So I don't know if can we turn one?
There's one right there.
Oh,
facing
there
the
is one
audience.
there. No, because we're already
They
trying
turn
to
one?
play.
Oh, they can see.
So if you didn't have the opportunity to even watch yourself, this is what you missed. That's funny, Aaron. Just so you
Took that
know.
video. Good call.
So tell us what that was like for you.
Well, performing at MetLife every year is like the highlight of my entire year. There's nothing better than being on a football field and like performing for a bunch of people. And you can really hear the crowd going crazy, and that's just incredible. And of course, the last show of the season is always emotional. So it was a good way to end the season.
Yeah, just a couple things that we wanted to highlight. My name's Chris Casuto, by the way. I work with mostly the percussion in the marching band, and Nick works with the brass and the winds, but we kind of logistically take care of, everything, and we're both band directors during the day, so we kind of move around as needed. But we just wanted to highlight the fact that 32 of these kids in this quote-unquote high school marching band are actually middle schoolers, which... So I don't think any other high school that we even competed against, has a ratio close. Out of 75 kids, 32 to be middle schoolers. It's pretty impressive. And then coming out with a win as well is really cool. And out of those 32, you know, some of them were in the marching band last year, but we didn't quite get to compete, you know, on the same level that we did this year and have a season because of COVID. And there was no band camp. There was no weekly performances. The show was shorter because we had to start a little bit later in the year. And that provided some challenges, but really made us realize how much we took for granted, like the opportunity we do have on a normal season. And we just wanted to make sure we also thank, you know, the entire community, one, for recognizing us. This is really cool to be here. But also parents' support, like administration support. This is one big machine, and we really couldn't run without all these parts. So thank you to everybody. I think.
All right, man.
Just add on top of that too. So, like Mr. Casuto mentioned, we compete against a lot of other bands that most of which don't have middle school students. We're actually the only band that includes 7th grade students in our high school marching band as well. So that's another challenge that we overcame. Speaking of which, so these other competitors that we go up against they're much bigger schools. So they have a much bigger populations of students to source from for their programs. So just as an example, like our largest competitor had 2,700 kids in their high school. And then King Philip, which is the runner-up to us, has 3 times our population at 1,200. BMR has 440 students. And we're still able to, the fact that our marching band is as large as it is an accomplishment, but then we go out and we perform like we do. It's really, it's a testament to the nurturing older students, the younger students that are coming and raising themselves to the highest level they can be at. It's just, it's overwhelmingly good. So we're very happy to come out here and share that with you.
And I will echo Chris's comments. It's a testament to those parents who commit a lot of their time, and to you both and Todd and Christina, who really give their life to this. And I think the students see it, and it's a great role model, and they model it, and that stage performance or field performance, whatever you want to call it, was truly remarkable. I mean, it's really an honor well earned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone?
Oh, I'll say something.
Oh. If you didn't catch her yelling in the...
I just want to say that I know our band in our school has a reputation, but it never gets old. And the kids are always new and cycling through, but I think the reputation is definitely a symbol of our instructors. So, and the support from the community and our schools and BMMA. Because without all of that, they would not be able to do what is done each season, which is 3 times a season of a sports team. I mean, they typically start in May. I think this year they started in June, but...
And actually, these middle school students, many of them did their marching skills training course starting in, I think, what was that, February?
Yeah.
That we started? Yeah. It's been a
So
long season for those kids.
It is, and the hours that go into it, and the 12 or 14-hour Saturdays during competition season, it's incredible to see the dedication from the students and the staff. And I know that all of these kids are leaving with amazing memories. So thank you.
And a lot of them do sports too. You know, it's not like these kids are just dedicating themselves to band. They're very smart, intelligent kids, academically achieving high, and a lot of them play in sports as well. So
Very well
good on
rounded.
them to be able to balance that all out and still come on top. So
Kudos. Anyone else? Jason?
Yeah, I didn't think it was possible. I went to the Dartmouth show, and I didn't think it was possible for me to get better. And until Erin sent me the video, because my son had a soccer tournament, I couldn't get to the New Jersey competition, the national competition. I tried to go, and I was stunned. I'm like, I don't even know how that's possible, but they actually
same.
improved from the Dartmouth performance.
And the
which
skirt
was
thing is
amazing.
really cool, I just want to
Yeah,
say.
so great.
The parachute thing, whatever
So
that is.
impressive. And yeah, big fans in the DeFalco house that have been watching the past few years for
Awesome.
sure. Go through this, and
I
so
told you, Matt, private lessons.
yeah, really impressive. So a big kudos to the whole team. And I will say one of the things I miss the most about not being in the high school anymore, our office has moved, is the band camp. and seeing the batons fly by the window and hear all the cranky horns first thing of the week, because that turns into this. So it's really remarkable. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
And just to make sure everyone did hear that the jackets will be coming for the
People who don't have them.
over 35 new? Is it 35 new?
35 now.
35.
And anyone who has one,
Right.
I don't know, you got any more room for some big old circles?
I can find
We'll
room.
make room, right?
Yeah.
We'll make room. Maybe we'll pick a different colors. Maybe we'll let you pick.
I'm good with this.
But yeah, we'll work with Todd and we'll get your jackets. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Would anyone else from the band like to say something? Did you have a magical moment you want to tell us about? We're not, okay.
We are scary.
What?
We are scary.
We are scary people, I know.
Terrifying. Just terrifying.
As we're crying up here. All right. Well, thank you. And we have another championship team we'd like to recognize, and that's our ladies volleyball team. I'm not sure if there's coaches or captains or any volleyball players also in the band, just out of curiosity.
Okay.
Look at you!
And
No new jacket for you.
Another one in the back.
And one in the back, too. All right. So are there any captains, any coaches, anyone who wants to come forward?
Our AD here.
Oh, Robert. Oh, there you go. And I will tell you that I had the privilege of also watching you 3 times over this season, and I'm in awe. First of all, I love volleyball. It's like a sport that I think I'm one of the only people who watches it on television, but I do. College volleyball, love it. And you guys have amazing hitter, like amazing. You must play, some people must play year round. That's what I've decided. Yeah, you do. Yeah. Okay. Well, it was great fun to watch. I will tell you, I went when you played in, what's in Douglas? What's the name of the?
Whitensville.
Yeah, Whitensville Christian, and you were losing till I showed up, just so you know. Right? Right, Jill? Sorry, the dog bedtime. So you need to have me back more next year. But anyway, how was that experience for you guys?
It was crazy because we've been playing together, mostly everyone on the team this year, for the past 5 seasons. And when we started, we were definitely not this successful. So the fact that we've been able to grow with each other and grow our skills and actually win for our last season all together was really special for us.
I'm so happy. Like, it was like the highlight of my year.
Yeah.
Because, like, we worked so hard the past 5 years, and then we finally won something, and it was just so nice. And I love my team so much.
Good. Yeah. That's what's supposed to happen. Anybody else wanna say anything? Anybody else wanna?
I'll say something too. Like,
Okay, please do,
they had
Robert.
a great season, and I'm really proud of all the girls and all the hard work, and it really paid off with them winning the first Central Mass 88 tournament. So that's a big honor to be like the first champion of a tournament that didn't exist before. And also they brought fans in too, so they like encouraged their students, peers to come in, and it was great seeing the fans and students and parents all come and support them every game too. So that's another great thing to see.
I think they're rivaling. I went to 2 of the matches. I think they were rivaling the basketball. I mean, that gym was rocking both times that I was in there. It was like, whoa. It was awesome.
I'm really sorry I missed
so awesome.
pajama night.
I say the theme nights seem to be fun.
Amazing to watch. Absolutely amazing. It's just the teamwork. And I love how you all come together after each. I'm not a volleyball person. Sorry,
Oh.
Jane. After each thing, you guys all come together. But it's what's
And
it called?
regroup, point, after
Point,
every point.
each point. I know
Every
what a
time
point
they
is.
play, there's somebody gets a point. They got
So
more
great.
than the
Yeah.
other.
I know, I'm not a sports person.
They got
You guys
more
know
than
that.
the other.
But you all come together, and the teamwork, I thought, I was actually really happy to hear you say what you said, because like that teamwork piece and growing together, and like that's a life skill. That's something that, you know, will stick with you, you know, kind of long after you're done at BMR, but you can see it. Like I could see that on the court, and it was really inspiring. Your team is just our team is simply amazing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Agreed.
And Vanessa's here. How long have you been coaching?
This was my 10th season.
So
Wow.
that's a lot of growth for you.
Absolutely.
To see.
Absolutely.
So
This
congratulations.
is the 8th season for varsity, and the first time that we ever made it to states. So it's a huge accomplishment, and it goes a lot to these girls. They've been working their butts off, so they did they had a great season.
Thank
It was a
you.
great
Thank you for
season.
taking them under your wing for
Yep.
for 10 years. And I know your girls are gone.
Even after,
so,
yep.
Yes.
Even after
You're
years. So,
continuing.
They're
Yep.
playing now in college too, so it's.
so there you go.
They've already been through it, so. But I couldn't leave these girls. These girls, they've worked so hard, and it's great to see their growth every year.
Well, and I thought it was pretty cool that we also, Robert, I know, was very supportive of the team, but I know the new principal was as well, and I believe her daughter plays volleyball, and I think she wanted to go out on the court and play herself for a few minutes there.
One day we're playing, the staff is playing against
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, next Monday.
Next Monday, watch out for her. She's dangerous. She's like dangerous.
She's getting game face on.
That's awesome.
Oh, if I weren't teaching, I would show up and,
My money's in the students, just saying.
I don't know, you haven't seen her. You haven't seen Jill.
Yeah, but there's more of them than there are.
Well, students just in the field hockey versus staff, the students finally won after all
Oh!
these years. The students finally won.
That's
There
awesome.
you go, that's awesome.
So great.
But also, thank you very much for recognizing these girls, though. This is a huge honor for all of us to be recognized by the community. for their accomplishments.
Vanessa, do you know how many jackets we have to order?
14.
14?
Very nice.
We also have, we have 3 band members also. Can you raise your hands? They get band members.
They get a patch.
You also?
My hand's up.
It says band on the back,
Yeah.
so they should
Oh, it
get
does?
volleyball.
Let me-
They get a second jacket.
But our policy does say.
Turn it. Oh.
It should say person.
Does it say, it does say band.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
We'll figure it
We'll
out.
make it work.
I'm a sport one. Thank you. They'll need it for more patches. Thank you.
What'd you say?
If I'm a sport one, they'll need it for more patches.
Nice, John.
I have some ideas.
We get the volleyball script as a
Yeah, that's, I
patch.
was gonna say underneath,
Put
yeah.
it on the back.
It'll be nice.
It will make it, we'll make it nice.
Otherwise, 2 jackets
Yeah.
is
It was well earned, it needs to be well celebrated. So congratulations, ladies. I'm sorry, say again?
I think the captain's had a question
Did
in
you?
regards to the banner.
Oh,
Hanging in the
yes.
rafters? Go ahead.
Do you happen to know when the banner will be raised? Is it our first home game of next year, or do you think it'll be sometime before we graduate?
That'd be nice.
Ooh, that's a great
I
question.
feel like it should be.
We have to make sure that happens before so that you can be, is that, you
Usually
wanna
in
be
the
part of
fall.
that? Oh, it is? It's in
Yeah,
the fall?
that's okay. But anyway,
Oh.
it's usually at the
Yeah, they
first.
do it in the fall?
Yeah, it's
Usually the
usually
fall.
at the
People are-
first home game, but,
Yeah.
Gone?
how many seniors you got?
We got 7.
Oh, well, we can.
we raise it twice,
can,
or
no, we can.
We'll raise it at graduation. It should be done when they get their
That
jackets.
sounds like a senior night thing.
Yeah,
Jackets and banners together.
Yeah.
Okay.
something it seems like.
So-
They typically come in the spring, so.
okay. We'll figure it out. How's that?
We'll make it happen.
Thank you.
Jane, could I say something?
Yes, you may.
Championships are special. And I know I didn't say anything for the band, but I'll say this for both the band and the volleyball team. Championships are extremely special. And when you look at the size of the school and the competition that you engaged in over the season, look at what you've accomplished. Keep that in mind as you go forward in life. You'll always be able to cherish the moments that you played, whether it's on the field for the band or whether it's on the court for volleyball. It's a cherished memory. I remember fondly I didn't go to school here, I went to school down south. And I remember fondly the times where we played for the championship. So just from one athlete to another, enjoy it, relish in it, and keep the tradition going here at Blackstone Millville.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think it's also something that I want to say to all of you as a parent in the district. We're proud of all of you. Like the whole community supports all of you and is proud of all of your accomplishments. Congratulations to both band and volleyball.
Thank you.
Great. Anything else? Anyone else? Anybody else want to say anything? How great it was? No. We must be really.
Just
It's
a
you,
quick
Tim.
question.
It's you. You're intimidating.
Quick question for both of you, or both teams. Would you do it again?
Of course.
Would you go through all the trials, all the practice and everything to get the same result?
All the band
Yeah.
kids
Awesome.
But if they did it again,
They
they'd
love
probably
it.
part it. All the what? The band kids would do it again?
well, they're all shaking their heads.
Nodding back, yeah, they're nodding.
Yeah, no,
I think you
they're-
definitely have to love it to do.
Yeah. Who
to put
plays
all
in
the
the
time in.
Who plays in the winter and who plays on a travel league?
For volleyball.
Are you a sophomore? You're amazing.
Actually, yeah, she's won the All-Stars and Lauren was an All-Star for DVC.
Did she?
So we had some
Yeah.
All-Stars.
You're.
Lauren.
Yeah. I don't recognize anybody not in shorts. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice work.
Well done, everyone.
Well done.
Thank you.
What? Oh, yes. We are going to continue with our meeting, and the next part is to talk about revenue, if that's not exciting to you. We certainly understand if you leave, but it's what buys your jacket, I'm just saying.
Party killer.
Aaron told me I had to let him go. Is your drive? Thank you.
I
And now
would
she's
say that
leaving
we
with
have to go home to watch Chronicle tonight.
What?
Chronicle?
Chronicle is doing the update tonight.
Oh, that's tonight?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Oh, cool. Tape it, Jen.
My kids won't let me stay.
It's on at 7.
They'll be in the car beeping.
Somebody will tape it. Okay.
Oh, you cleared a room.
That's how you clear a room. Yep. That's what you're doing, Robert. Get him out of here.
And they're gone.
Like everyone left.
Everyone, even the principals.
I don't want to say it.
One of them will be back.
Thanks for coming.
That just shows how exciting the business report is.
We put it up first.
This is what happens when we put you first.
It's not even here.
All right. Report of the business office.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Again, I am pinch hitting for Matt. He's at a wonderful event for his daughter, actually, who was inducted into, I believe, the Spanish National Honor Society at his high school, his daughter's high school. So he can't miss that. I told him he had to go. So we're excited for the Aaronworths this evening to celebrate that. So I will walk through the business office report. The first item in your packet is the total revenue from July till the 15th of November, which was on Monday, if I remember correctly. There is nothing unusual about the revenues. They're coming in as scheduled. So if you have any questions on the revenue sheet, do not hesitate to let me know. Pretty straightforward. Next, we have our grant fund expenditure review. And remember, when you look at the grant fund expenditure review and then you look at the general fund expenditure review, you almost have to crosswalk the two documents because, as you know, if there might be an excuse me, an overage in one line that's in the general, but it's being covered by funds that are allocated in our grant expenditure document. So there are a couple of places where we are projected right now to be a little bit over, but I want to bring your attention to the SR2. We've overspent this line a bit. However, if you look, again, this is one of those for instances, if you look at your general fund, you'll see that overall the general fund balance is still projecting to be very strong, so there won't be any issues at the end of the fiscal year. there any questions on the grant fund or the general fund? And remember, on the general fund, when you look specifically at line 9300, the non-public programs, I know we talked about it at the last meeting, but that will be adjusted with our circuit breaker. So again, just another scenario where that will actually balance out. And then you can see our bottom line is still running in the black. Any questions on the general expenditure reviews or grant expenditure review? I don't know why Matt sweats this so much. This is pretty easy.
Yeah, that's not so bad.
I'm kidding. And we have our personnel report to be received and placed on file. And we have a request for surplus. We have a freezer that's broken that needs to be disposed of. So there's a request from our food service director.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to ditch a freezer.
I'll motion to ditch the freezer.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Been moved and seconded to surplus the broken freezer at the high school. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone want to parts?
Okay.
Okay.
Next on to facilities, just a brief update. I won't sit and obviously read these out to you, but you can see that the baseball, softball dugout roofs, they're in, and we're starting to do the installation. The tennis courts, we did go with the company that will just do the traditional green instead of all the
Good.
kind of the different colors we were talking about.
Yeah.
No purple.
No pickleball.
No
Yep,
pickleball.
That's good.
No purple and yellow.
No.
And that started on Monday, so hopefully we'll get that done shortly. You can see the updated laminates for the elementary school vestibules. The work is finished,
Except for the air
except for
bubble.
the air bubble. The air bubble needs to be fixed. So we'll be fixing that.
I have a question on the tennis courts.
Yep.
Sure.
There were cracks in the surface. Have they been able to effectively seal those and cover them up?
I don't know if that has happened yet, but I will make a note of that and find out for you.
Thank you.
Sure. And the track and field, the shot and discus cage, actually, they were installing that today. I don't know if anyone noticed that, but that was actually kind of cool to see them starting to do the installation. So that project is moving. I saw that myself when I was at the high school. So that is moving in the right direction. And then we have an application for a use of facilities.
2 of them.
2, yep. We have one for Winterguard that both Ms. Kurt and I have reviewed. That is in your packet for approval. And then one for the town of Millville looking to use the auditorium at Millville Elementary for the special town meeting on Monday.
And I'm going to go to that one first. So if you guys all have the town of Millville, they always use the auditorium. And that's their scheduled date. There's nothing else in the room, so I'll entertain a motion to approve their request.
Also move.
Okay, second?
Second.
All right. Moved by Tim, seconded by Amanda. Anybody have any questions or discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the second one is Winterguard. That is asking for, I believe, the gym? Yeah, at the middle school. And that's on, from November to March, 6 to 9.
Tuesday, Thursday.
What?
Tuesday, Thursday.
Yeah. And so, first, I guess I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Is there
I'll
a second?
second.
Okay, any discussion? So I would like to know how this impacts the basketball one we already approved.
Yes, so Scott is working with a couple things. One, the Blackstone Millville Basketball, Youth Basketball Association I believe Jennifer is the name of the individual that we met with a few months ago or weeks ago. So she has had a couple of conversations with Matt and with Scott. She's put in an application now for the Millville gym as well. That was not on the initial application. The initial application had the complex and our building, the middle school building on it. So she's put in an application for Millville, and Scott is working with, Scott Hebert is working with Jackie and is working with Carrie Marlborough and with Kathy Stearman to get this schedule coordinated.
Okay. 'Cause I guess my concern is they recruited an awful lot of people. And I believe even in our motion, we were really clear that school events took precedence. But that they needed to work out schedules, so they worked out their schedules in advance, and now those schedules are changing on them.
But that's what we were talking about was going to happen, because this group is a school group. They use it every year. Just because someone else got it in first.
Well, no,
doesn't
but I'm
trump-
saying we need to get some kind of master schedule that knows these things are coming, so that when somebody comes to ask, we say it's never available on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Right, like in August, they know Winterguard's gonna happen, right? So
Right.
maybe we start
But
booking.
we know now. Yeah, please.
So the new person with the town league is new.
Right.
But since I've been here, it's always been shared. So we tell the town league, and Miss Levitt's not here this year either, so, so she would communicate and say, okay, this is when Winterguard is going to be there, and then the town adjusts based on that, so.
But-
There's a couple of new people, and so it may seem like they,
So I have a question about using the Millville gym. It's still used for lunch with the desks, correct?
Yes.
So this cafeteria has desks, and there's been groups that have used this cafeteria in the past.
right, that cafeteria can't use it because there's 140 desks set up right now.
The Millville CAF is not,
I
Millville
understand
gym is
that,
not set
but
up
we're
to that
losing,
extent.
we are losing space because we're not letting people use that. Are they not moving them to wash floors? And I mean, if it
So
was
the
2
only-
days a week,
The only thing that's ever been in the cafeteria was cheerleading.
right?
And
And are
then,
they-
and
are
then
able
Mr.
to
Hebert will
practice?
speak to, while that's where cheerleading has been, there's actually consistently a lot of broken tiles because the calf floor actually is not built to withstand the
I believe-
cheerleading.
Yeah, I believe they have their own mats, but my concern is we're not able, so we are gonna move the desks in Millville for basketball.
Yep.
But we're still limited on space for all of our school activities because we have spaces that we're not able to access this year.
It's
So
not
are we
the-
overcommitting? Are we overcommitting
I don't
by?
think so, only because at Millville in the gym area, it's not the full, it's not what it was last year. If you remember last year, it was, there was like a partition and they went all the way back. It's not like that this year. There's only a few rows of desks, so it doesn't take up the entire gym space. So I think because of the use of that, it not being to the level that it was, it's a little bit easier, I think, to shuffle the
Right,
equipment around.
for when the cheerleaders used to use the calf, when we were able to have all the tables, the cheerleaders actually move all the tables, put the mats out, put the mats back, like, that's just a lot to be moving 140 desks and chairs, so that's 280.
But there were definitely nights in probably 3 years plus now where it was cheerleaders. Winterguard was supposed to be in the gym, but town basketball would show up and Winterguard would be in the foyer and not be able to use the calf or the gym. So I think you're right. We need that master schedule just so we know, just so the secretaries know what's coming
Yeah,
in and out.
and just a plan of what even spaces work for what kinds of things.
Yeah.
Because,
I mean, it's just not, you're right. We do know in August that this is coming.
Right.
And
we asked for it.
right. And it's not even fair to say like, oh, can you switch your days or anything like that. So this,
We're happy to get a master schedule for you.
yeah.
Yep, we could do that.
I just wanted to explain the cafeteria situation for this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we're not in that situation next year.
And the process needs to work so that it goes to the master scheduler, whoever or that is, before it comes to us. Because
goes-
we aren't going to have the master schedule in front of us during these meetings. Like, this process needs to be
So it's signed off by the principal.
Yeah,
It
the
goes to
second
the
page
admin
when it's
assistant,
signed.
they book it, principal signs it, sends it to me, I review it, send it to you.
Right, so we don't have
When
to
you
have
guys
this
sign it.
discussion ever again.
So when you guys sign it, you know the gym's available.
Right.
Yes.
Or in the moving forward.
Do it.
Like,
building
basically,
level.
we
You
are
knew there
just
was a
deciding
conflict.
whether that organization has permission to use our facilities or
Yes,
not,
I
not
think
what
the-
time.
I think the challenge was the Youth Basketball Association. If you remember the conversation, it was both buildings and it was every date and it was all the time.
Actually,
And
we'll
so-
take everything we can get.
Right, so that's what she was saying, like, I'll just take
Knowing that she
whatever.
said no's.
So Matt and Scott have spoken with her a couple of times. She's been wonderful and, we've worked on figuring that out.
But I do think there is going to be another problem for that league because cheerleading is in the gym now. Our girls and boys basketball is in the gym, which is going to bump up practice times through the day. And I'm wondering if Monday, Wednesday, and Friday are even still available. Because if we have 3 groups of our kids in that gym from after school into the evening,
Yeah.
because we're not using the CAF, I think we're going to have another conflict for BMYBL.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
So we have this motion on the floor. Does anybody have any other? All those in favor of approving Winterguard in the gymnasium, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? I'm opposed. Anyone abstaining? Not opposed to them having practice, but I think we've got to look for places that suit people or get on calendars sooner.
I mean, I'm wondering why Winterguard even has to put one in with us. They're a school organization.
No other
Right.
teams.
Right, we're not getting girls and boys
teams doesn't
basketball, and the gym is theirs
They
when
shouldn't
need
have
it.
to fill out this form.
I agree,
Because we're not
Sarah.
going to deny our own organization
Yeah.
permission to use our facilities.
Good point.
Like,
And maybe that's where like a new form is made up for teams, just for the scheduler, not necessarily for approval, but.
Right.
Do you think they did that though because it's at a different school?
Right.
Yeah, each of the buildings
There's
has
middle
a schedule
schoolers in
for all
here.
of those, for the conference room, the gyms, for all the main spaces that people would want to use. So I'm sure that Jackie's already working on coordinating that space with those that are requesting at this time. But we'll follow up for sure and make sure that there's a master schedule put together.
Well, but I think even more than a master schedule, I think we need to look at what available space there even is. And perhaps we have to set priority, because if we have Winterguard and cheerleading, what makes Winterguard ahead of cheerleading? What makes cheerleading ahead of Winterguard? Like, what is the priority? Who is the,
Well, could we
Athletic director?
I think
task
that's
the
the athletic
athletic director with
Yeah.
deciding when, where, and how?
Yeah.
And then creating a Google document that can be shared amongst the school committee?
Sure. He can
That way-
coordinate that with Scott, our facilities director, and then share. Yeah.
That way we can all see it and have access to it 24/7.
And at the same time, I think it's, obviously still important to support the town sports because those feed into the school sports. But that would make it easier for everybody to do so because I see your point that this is very, like as a new person in that organization, I've been that person that's new in an organization and they pretty much hand you like a 3-year-old folder and go, here it is. So.
and you're doing your best and you think you did it
Right.
right. And then you've taken money from people based on thinking you've done it right.
Right.
When a school committee said, make sure we work out everything before we can even tell them the dates that they can get in. And then that didn't
changes.
happen.
Yeah.
And that's not fault of anyone's
Right.
necessarily, but
I do trust though that Jackie, Kathy, and Carrie will make a schedule work. We have a
Oh,
lot of
absolutely.
space. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they'll.
well, that's it. We have space. That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. We
Yep.
have space, I hope.
Just finding the right
It's
spot.
just finding what works for, Winterguard, I assume, has to throw things in the air or whatever. I don't know.
Right, they can't do it at
They
home.
also have a floor too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do what?
They have a floor they roll out. The cheerleaders have mats that they roll out.
Yeah.
And they need the height.
We can definitely make it work. But we'll put that together and send it out.
You-
Yep, happy to.
All right. next.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
All right. So under my report, just a few items. Karen, if you would like to join us and share a COVID-19 update, and you can actually hunker down if you want to sit for a few, because we'll
Go right into the
go right through the 3 items that we have under my report tonight.
Good evening, everyone. I will apologize for my cough right in the beginning. It's asthma season again. So, we are currently up to 75 cases. It's basically spread a third at the complex, a third at the middle school, and a third everywhere else. So far, November has been steady with October. We had 6 in August, 13 cases in September, 36 in October, and we're up to 20 as of today in November. We've had 843 in-school contacts. 200 of them have done test and stay. 554 have been the non-quarantining monitor only. 36 have been vaccinated. 44 have opted to quarantine, and 9 have been positive in the previous 90 days. The town vaccination rates are basically the same. We're in the process of updating how we're doing the building rates. The state system, the vaccination database, is a very difficult, cumbersome site, and so I'm working with Dan to be able to get better numbers, definitely by building and hopefully even by grade. So that would be the goal. But as of right now, we have approximately 378 vaccinated students, which works out to be 46.4%, that is 12-year-old and above. None of our 5 to 11 have had enough time to get their second dose. So hopefully come December, I'll have some numbers starting with those kids. We did have a vaccine clinic on the 9th, and I'm working with that organization to hopefully set up a follow-up one on the 30th or sometime shortly thereafter, so that those kids can get their second doses and hopefully others can get their first doses. And
Karen, that information that you were reading with all the numbers is on our dashboard.
Yep.
That's on our webpage?
The majority of it, yeah.
Folks can find that on our webpage, community
Yep.
members.
Yep. And I think that's about it for me, unless anyone has any questions.
I hate to bring this up, but I think when you did your clinic, it was in this gym.
Yeah.
So the week of the 30th are tryouts for all of our sports. So I just think we need to keep that in mind for placement of
Sure.
that clinic.
Yeah, we'll make sure it's.
And
I heard it was very busy here for that.
Well, we won't have the seniors, I don't believe, because they're having a clinic, and I know that the Board of Health has plenty of vaccine to cover all of them. So I think that there were a few issues. They had gotten lost and were late, and so it was very disorganized.
I'm
in
just
the
talking
beginning.
about the space being the basketball tryouts are right after school,
Yep.
and I know that your clinic was.
It wasn't
actually-
disorganized on our end. The day that got lost.
Yeah, I'm
was
just talking
the-
about it was a large
Right.
crowd.
Was the provider, the vaccination provider.
Cafeteria.
Yeah, maybe.
But
that-
I have talked to the high school, so Jackie had told me that it would be available that day, but my backup is the high school cafeteria.
Yeah.
Thank you, Karen.
You're welcome.
A quick update on Osha. As you recall, we sat here a few months ago and spoke a little bit about, you might want to just stay, Karen, and spoke a little bit about the president's directive that all companies that had 100 or more employees needed to have a vaccination requirement or testing for those that are not going to be vaccinated. OSHA finally came out with their guidelines. It was maybe 2 weeks ago. We sat, Karen, myself, Jill, Matt, as a team. We went through the whole webinar together. We laid out our action plan. We had a conversation with our attorney who said, you guys are ahead of the curve on this. Usually these emergency temporary OSHA guidelines don't pertain to Massachusetts. And that was kind of a fun fact I didn't know. But there are a few states that don't fall under that umbrella, meaning that they don't have to follow them. I didn't get the why behind that, but there are a few states that are in that situation. What was recommended to us is to start the dialogue publicly about vaccination or testing. Should we actually have to move forward with that? Start discussions with our unions about it. Again, should we have to start? Because if we have to start with that, it has to be done by January 5th. And that's still a big if, because as you've probably seen in the news, separate and apart from this, does it pertain to Massachusetts? Because of some special provision the state has, there's the Fifth Circuit Court where this is all tied up in litigation. And it all depends on which court is saying what about this. So we thought it'd be good just to start the discussion tonight. And we certainly can start having discussions with our union leadership about either vaccinations or testing. Again, we have 24 staff members that would need to be tested. The rest of our staff are out of the just under 300. Everybody's vaccinated. So I just wanted to give a brief update on that. Karen, I don't know if I missed anything on that, but I think I got the details.
Yeah.
And what would be the cost of testing the group of 24?
So under the regulations, whether or not they pertain to us, but how they're drafted currently is that employers are not required to pay for them.
And what
one answer.
What frequency are we looking at testing?
It's the not the rapid test. The guidelines are for.
But is it daily?
Every 72 hours.
Every 72 hours.
Every
Yep.
72 hours.
Yep.
So if you work a 5-day work week, you got to have it done twice.
So it would be outside of school, it's not like they come to school and get tested, like you're saying, we're not paying for
They
it,
wouldn't
so
be
that means
able
they have to
to.
do outside.
Yeah.
Yep. They have to come with their.
With the results. And they need to be supervised. So it's it's not a test that you can take it home
Not that.
and just bring it in, and it actually has to be supervised. If I remember that
Yep.
provision correctly.
State system.
Oh.
Whatever your state.
There's a lot
system
to
is.
it. Yeah. So we want to start the dialogue with the union leadership now. So they all know. I mean, people have been paying attention, but we want to start having that discussion because there are 24 members, both between units A and C. Collectively, that would be impacted.
Okay.
And for those who are like medically have a reason not to get vaccinated, they would just be required to do the testing.
Tested. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thankfully for us, it's a small number, but we still need to work out those
people, yeah, they still need to.
Cool.
Yeah. And speaking of all of this, my last item is to give an update on the Washington, D.C. trip. Tanya, if you want to join us. As you know, we brought before the committee a couple of meetings ago the request to start planning for and getting ready to take our students in June, we hope, to Washington, D.C. And we knew that there would be a lot of details to work out with that. So what we have for you this evening is some information or updated information on the trip because we know that we're not living currently in a time where we can just say, send the kids and hope they have a good time and they'll be back in a couple of days. But in fact, there's some safety precautions that we need to take. And Tanya and Karen are going to go over those. But I will say before they launch into them, this was all vetted with our town nurse, the Board of Health nurse. And she stated, I think, pretty definitively, these things really do need to be in place. So I apologize earlier for not having this in the packet on Tuesday, but we wanted to check with families to see, like, geez, is the interest there with these additional provisions? And I think we have a critical mass supporting that. But I'll turn it over to Tanya and Karen, who will talk us through the information. Hello again.
I'll let you.
Oh, well, Karen's gonna let me talk about COVID.
They hear enough from me
yeah.
talking about it.
So for the trip, that's what you have in front of you. Dr. Falco shared with you the survey, because for the price that came before you, it needs to be 40 students per bus in order to keep that price. So we'd have to have, if we're gonna have more than 40, then we have to have 2 buses of 40, so we have to have 80 students wanting to go. And so the proposed COVID protocols would be that the requirement of any student participating would be fully vaccinated, which must receive their second dose by May 22nd. In the event that the district does not have the vaccination information, the parent would need to provide the proof of that. A negative PCR test 72 hours before, or a rapid test 24 hours before. There would be masking on the bus during the transportation time and inside the buildings, except for the hotel rooms. The hotel rooms are 4 students per room. And then be symptom-free on the day of the departure. So then we had the discussion, so what happens if we get there and we no sooner get there and somebody has symptoms or test positive? So then we have the protocols for a symptomatic student if it happens during the trip, that the nurse, because we do always have a nurse going with us, the nurse would be phoning home, would administer a rapid test, and obviously if negative, there was no other action, so that's not, part of the protocols. If positive, the student would have to isolate in additional hotel room that would be secured by the district, and we will have a staff member with a district secured vehicle that could transport the child home if the parent guardian preferred, or if they were not able to pick up the child themselves. If the district was going to have to transport the child home, they would have to quarantine in that hotel room until the last day of the trip, and then they would be sent home, because we don't want then day 2, something else happens and we have another person, we can't bring them home because the other person's already driving the student back home. So they would have to isolate in that room. And of course, we'd make sure that they were fed and entertained as much as possible as if they were at home sitting in their bedroom, so.
Yeah, and that was probably the biggest piece of this to kind of work out. And again, all of the students will be vaccinated, and they all will have just had a negative test. So the likelihood is very slim, but it's still there. And so what we wanted to do was create a situation where if a child does test positive, we'd have two separate rooms for different genders based on that. And we would actually have an additional staff member that would go, and this would be the kind of the purpose, so that we don't take from the chaperones that do need to go. And we will have a district secured vehicle, because it could be one of our vans, it might be something from Telstone. We're still working out the detail on that. And then parents have the choice. So if it's a Sunday, I believe it's Sunday to Tuesday, the trip. Is that right, Tanya?
Early Monday morning till
Early
late Wednesday night.
Wednesday night, okay, so I had that one day off. But if they get there on Monday evening, then the parents certainly could, if they wanted to, and they were able to, could, say, yes, I'll come down and pick up my child. Or not, and the child quarantines until Wednesday morning, and they would leave at that time. So we just want to provide some safety net in case there's an issue while we're there. But again, the students are all vaccinated, and we'll have a negative test before we even leave. So.
Anyone? Tara? So Tanya, did you say there are 80 students have to attend in order to go?
No, 40 per bus.
40
so
per
if we
bus.
have 40 students, then that's one bus, but to get a second bus, I would need 40 more in order to keep that price that we have.
Is that was
I
my
can't
next-
say, we'll get a second bus, but only 10 kids are on it.
Right.
We have to
I think, was it in here, or earlier did you tell us 54 are vaccinated that
We
we
have
know of right now?
57, yes, 57 that are currently vaccinated. And then of the survey responses, we had 95 parents take the survey. 82% of them said that they would like the child to attend. And we did put the comments in your packet too.
Yeah.
So 82% of the 95.
Did you add those up by any chance? You don't have that column, yes or no, do you?
I do, it's right here.
Just to have an idea, like what you're
There's-
looking at.
It's just under 80 students. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it's
Right,
just
if
under
it was
80.
like just a couple
yeah, I
of
guess.
students under 80, I'm sure that's fine with the tour company.
Yeah.
But like I said, I couldn't have a bus with only 20 on it, I'm sure, so.
Yeah.
So
Closer
if you
to
have
80.
60 people who want to go, what would you do?
30 and 30.
But I'd have to
But the
reach
price
out,
would
The
go
price would
huge.
change.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask the bus company what the price would be on that. We've never had an issue, we usually have, last time we went, we had 3 buses go with us, so.
And currently there are 57 students that would be eligible. Whether those 57 want to go,
Right.
I'm not sure. And some may not. I mean, when you read through some of the comments, some of the parents reference some health stuff, and and my sense is that those also could be some of the students who are vaccinated, right, for safety reasons. So we're not entirely sure what the final numbers will look like, but we did also ask a question. We thought, well, if not this, maybe we could do a day trip. You can see there was not a lot of interest.
No,
in
yeah.
the day
Mixed
trip.
reviews.
So we're trying for sure to
Yeah.
put something in place that's really good for kids, that's safe and.
Well, and we
brings
don't,
some
I mean,
normalcy
we have,
back.
and we're still encouraging them to get the insurance, because we don't know what
Right.
June will.
Right. We don't.
So the insurance information about the trips and when the payments would be due, about the non-refundable deposit when that's due, which is the beginning of December, as well as the trip information, the 3 fundraisers. So once if this is approved, then this would go out and resending the trip information. As I said to Dr. Falco earlier, when we've met, I would hope at this point people see the value in trip insurance since COVID, but I'm not so sure.
Yeah, I think it's $31 you said,
It's
right, for this?
$31.50,
Right.
and it's a cancel for any reason. So
Yeah.
even if something happened and you just didn't think your child should be going on the trip anymore, you can just cancel. You don't even have to have a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And speaking as somebody who, my son was on the last group that did not get to go, we did not purchase the trip insurance, thinking, what are the chances? We never got our money back. I know they went back and forth to try to see if they would make an exception. We were out that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got as much as we could
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Pay your,
But they
pay
had
your
already had to-
$31.
Yep.
Yeah. As someone who lost and lost.
And the challenge with this is it's so far out. Like
Right.
I don't know. We don't know what.
Right.
So we don't want to. There are some schools that are on the bandwagon of we're not doing any trips this year. Here at the end, and we don't want to do that if we can help it. If we can put. So we were trying to think as creative and get
I
the
think,
feedback
you
from the
know,
nurse.
I
And,
think one thing we've seen is the social, emotional, mental health of all of us, not just the youth, but of all of us. The more we can do those things that people had looked forward to, I think the better off we all will be in the long run. And I think, yeah, it's unfortunate we say you have to be vaccinated to go, but my guess is you have to be vaccinated in a lot of places you're going to go to. I just spent the weekend in a large city, and just to get into a restaurant, vaccination card. Just to get into a museum, vaccination card. So I don't think you're putting restriction that's not probably going to be restricted when you get where you go.
Well, I mean, we're going into usually all of the museums that are by the Smithsonian
Right.
or owned by
Right.
the U.S. government, so.
Yeah.
Do those require vaccination at this time to get in?
Not that I know of. I don't know.
As the parent of an 8th grader who was planning on going on this trip, and someone who has my children fully vaccinated, but is holding off on this one because there is no long-term data yet. I am really disappointed that this is one of the protocols, because we tout all means all. And we are now, if we have 378 students total in the district, and only 57 of the approximately 135 in grade 8, there's a large percentage of these kids that will now miss out, and we are segregating based on that. And if they're all receiving a negative COVID test prior to leaving, I don't know why every single one has to also be vaccinated, because science has showed us you can still get COVID if you are vaccinated. You can still spread COVID if you're vaccinated. Our biggest protector for these kids is knowing before they leave that they're all negative. So I'm really disappointed in seeing this, and I could be in the minority, and I feel like I am the minority up here, but I have to speak for those other students who will be left out of this trip. And if it's not a requirement in DC, then I feel like this is just a push, because I've heard so many times how low our percentages are, and comments of how it's a pandemic of the unvaccinated and how we need to do whatever we can to increase our vaccination rate. And I feel like this is just one of those things, like we'll dangle the carrot in front of the kids, like, if you get your vaccination, you'll get to go, and the rest of you get to just come to school on Monday and handle it. And the way the survey was sent out, because I had emailed Tanya and asked, it was, do you feel comfortable if protocols are put in place for this trip? And I asked, did it mean if all protocols are put in place, or is it a either or, and this, but that, as concert halls and many places around right now are. You're either vaccinated or you show a negative test. And there was no definitive answer. So parents could be answering this saying, like, yes, I definitely want safety protocols, but possibly not all of them put together. So I just, this was a hard one for me to swallow today when it all came out.
Having just visited the DC metro area, one of the big things that I noticed in riding the metro, being in town, walking the mall, doing different things, other than the crazy platoon of people that were running past the Washington Monument at 7 o'clock at night for PT, everybody was wearing a mask. You have to wear a mask to ride the metro train or the train. Mm-hmm. You have to wear a mask to do just about everything in DC. The other aspect on that, and I laugh about this because everything there, with the small exception of some of the private businesses, the large majority are government office buildings. So to be a government employee, you must be vaccinated. So you're and I'm a fly on Carrie's coattails a little bit here. We're telling students that they can't go if they're not vaccinated into a city that's probably got the highest vaccination rates in the country. Everybody has to be tested before going. And I see the science and the results that Carrie's talking about. Right now, we're almost at 3% positivity rate in our testing in the state. Just under, 2,600 cases in the last 2 days. We're trying to involve everyone in the 8th grade. And I've read some of these comments, and the majority of the comments the parents put in here are additional health care issues that can't be controlled by the school system. I understand the need for vaccination. I'm the one that sits here and says all faculty and staff, all students should be vaccinated. That's my standpoint. However, we have to allow the agency of the parents, and granted, we are a body that can say, if you're not vaccinated, you can't go. But if it is mandatory to test and mandatory to have a negative COVID test before climbing on board the bus, what are we saying to those kids that are out there that the parents won't let them get vaccinated? And by the way, if you're taking a cruise anywhere, you have to be vaccinated. If you're doing any major trip anywhere on commercial anything, you have to be vaccinated. So how do we straddle that line and look at the 8th graders that want to go, but parents say, no, you can't be vaccinated, and yet allow everybody else to go?
We're just following the guidance from our town nurse. I don't have a better answer than that. And I understand the emotional side of both angles of this, and I get it. I really do. But when the town nurse says, yes, that provision needs to be in place, I'm going to follow the Board of Health nurse. I just am. I'm not going to get into
I
the other
understand.
side of it, but, yeah.
So this isn't coming to us for vote.
Not our.
It's just being
We already
shared.
approved a trip.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm like, this wasn't in when we looked at this.
Nope. Oh, no, we didn't
last
have any of
meeting.
that.
Okay.
Yep.
No.
No.
No, and this, could change in January and could change in March and
But it
could change.
can't change
We've
then,
missed
'cause then
deadlines.
it's
too
but-
late.
So the kids who have said, no, they're not going, it can then change and they're still out of luck.
So that if the deadline is December, whatever the deadline is.
I mean, I understand the need to say hard and fast, this is the way it's going to be because of the deadline, the funding and everything else. And as much as I sit here and say, how do we draw that line? I agree with you. We have to draw that line. But there's got to be some compromise somewhere.
Aaron?
I'm just going to go back to what Jane said in the social emotional, I am just happy to see this being available to our kids and it feeling somewhat normal, though there are going to be the strict policies in place that they have to follow. It would be more upsetting to say we're not even going to try to do a DC trip, in my opinion. So I hope that it can be successful with what we need to put in place, and I hope the kids can have a great time. It's hopefully a quick enough trip. There won't be any testing. They won't have symptoms until they're home. I don't know. It's hard to navigate,
It's hard.
but we
And
need
there
to
are
try to
some-
do this for
yeah.
the kids. They've missed so much.
And there are some who are vaccinated who may not go because their friends can't go because their friends aren't vaccinated. I mean, there will be a whole dynamic that will play out here. But I think we've been clear in our methods. We've been following the guidelines. We've been following the recommendations. We've been working with teams to try to, do the best that we can. And I think we have to stay that course.
Can I ask?
Yep.
When marching band traveled to New Jersey by bus, are there any COVID protocols that they must follow?
Yes, there were COVID protocols they had to follow every week. They drove with the same protocols that our kids are on school buses every day, which is windows
Just
down.
masking, windows
Masking, no eating, no drinking, and that's a long trip.
And no testing, no vaccination
Well,
status.
the same school bus protocol, but it wasn't an overnight trip.
Not overnight.
They were also not allowed, and I think it came from Karen, but if they were out of state in a competition, they weren't allowed to stay and they would used to have gone, they would go back to the bus, change, go into the stands, watch the rest of the competition and attend their award ceremony. And if they were out of Massachusetts, they were not allowed to do that. They had to basically go back to their bus and come home. And they found out if they won on the way home. There were a few in Massachusetts that they stayed for. But
Just now in MetLife,
no, MetLife, they did stay because it was outside of the stadium. They do the awards on the outside. They didn't go into they weren't allowed to go into the stands and
Watch anybody else.
watch, right. So they stayed together as a group at their bus and their truck, which is not even, and then they were escorted over to the awards section and they stayed with their peers. But it was very different than years past for the kids. And very cold on the bus.
So this is saying our kids have to be fully vaccinated for this trip because they're staying overnight.
Right. They're sharing a room with
Field
three
sharing
It's
others.
considered a field trip, not a,
Sharing rooms.
Yeah.
Yep.
But they're also sharing a room with 3 others.
Right.
And in the room, they would be unmasked.
Right.
And I
But
would
everyone's
assume if-
getting the negative test. I don't.
I would
I'm
assume if band
sorry.
came to us with they typically do a trip every 2 years, that we would have to, this would be implemented
Yeah, if they were
for any
doing
type of overnight.
Nashville or whatever. Yep. Yeah.
I can't, it's proven time and time again that you can still get COVID with the vaccine. It's the negative test that's protecting the kids in the room together. I don't know. The long-term data is just not there for me for this.
Anyone else?
I do feel like enforcing this is gonna put even larger of a wedge between the school committee, these schools, and the community. Because it's very divisive.
It can't be any bigger than the mask.
Well,
I
it
don't
is,
think
because
it's helping.
It's like
It's
Carrie
not
said,
helping.
it's
I mean, it's another mandate. It's another
Way to-
you know,
But this doesn't even say, action required, it's.
It's just a
this is
discussion
just-
item.
yep,
From the nurse.
just information.
So
From the town.
that's what we have to do.
The option, I mean, the option is we take it off the table and the
Yeah.
town nurse says you're not going.
Yeah.
I mean, so I just want to make sure, and I don't want the committee to feel pressure on that, because frankly, if we take this off the table and Karen calls the nurse, that's probably what we're going to hear. And then this becomes a Board of Health issue, so then this meeting turns into we go to the Board of Health and have a conversation with, I mean, I don't know, folks, I don't know if this is the story we want to.
I think
I-
you're accurate in doing what we've done with the direction from the Board of Health and the nurse. And if that's how they're saying okay to do it, then that's what we've got to do. So, I mean, I can understand the emotions and empathize with Carrie and other parents, but to keep the trip going, to make it viable for everyone that can go, that's what we have to do.
So I am aware of another district that chose not to do an 8th grade DC trip for that. Essentially the reasons to split the group into the have and have-nots, and you know, that's,
We thought maybe the day trip was another alternative, that's why we asked that. We're like, well, you know, would you be interested in, because that might take that off the table, and we were kind of surprised by that, for sure, because it didn't seem to be a lot of interest. We're certainly not trying to exacerbate an
I
issue.
mean, DC
that's
is
there.
very special. I
Mhm.
think it's a unique, with the age group and what they've learned through civics,
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for the kids.
Can I?
Yeah.
Just, I truly wish we didn't have that December deadline, because then we could see, you know, if it was a March deadline, it would be perfect, because we could get through, you know, the winter months, which I think most people are expecting to get worse, and see how things are, and could possibly do things different. But with that, and there definitely is less risk. You certainly can have breakthrough cases, but there is less risk if you are vaccinated. And to have these kids sharing a room, having meals together, contact tracing is going to be difficult, you know, to know who's eating with who and all of that. So I think the only way that it can safely be done is to have vaccination with that December deadline.
The deadline is with the tour company?
So I have to give a non-refundable deposit. The last time before COVID, when I did this, we gave a deposit, but I still added people after. So
Maybe there's an answer. Maybe
You
there's a
know.
way. I don't know.
I can add people. I can't, there is a
People
certain,
They
give me
can't
one.
back out, but they can add.
Is there a
There
cut
is a
date
certain
on-
time frame. I by give me one second. I have all my paperwork here. Sorry, it's a lot. So I have to pay the non-refundable deposit by the 15th. all remaining money has to be 45 days out, and full final payment 14 days out. But I do recall, I don't know, I know I added some people. Like, I think that would be the question, if I've got 57.
Right.
I know I gave them a low number at the beginning, and a lot of people waited to pay for that final payment, so I've made sure the final payment is out the 30 days out, 45 days that it has to be in.
When you say out, you mean from the start
From
of
the,
the trip?
from the trip,
Yeah, the trip date.
the
okay.
final deadline is there, so while there would be some leeway to add at a certain point, like I couldn't add 40 more people only a few months out, because once I give the deposit, they do already pre-book the rooms
And the buses.
right, and the buses. But I know I had about 2 buses and we went up to a third. So,
So there might be a little wiggle room in that.
10, 15, maybe not 40.
Yeah.
right, I can't all of a sudden have 60 people in, May say they want to go. They won't be able, it's very difficult to get hotel rooms in June. That's why they pre-book so early.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And we're right in Arlington, like, we're not that far, so we don't have to sit in a lot of traffic to get into DC. We're right in Arlington.
All right, well, thank you. Good luck. I hope the families that are eligible take advantage of it. Have a wonderful trip.
Thanks. Thanks, Sonny. That concludes my report.
Okay. And the parent conferences are done now, too.
Yeah, we're just finishing that up.
School committee forum. I attended the Thanksgiving Day dinner, the District of One. It was very well attended. I mean, not attended, I guess people came and
Drive through.
picked up or whatever, however you want to call it, but I cannot ever thank enough our food service staff. They are amazing people who do an incredible job, and one woman even made literal homemade cupcakes, not from a box, not carrot cake, grate the carrots
Oh.
for 500 people, 500
Yes,
cupcakes,
yeah.
Tim's wishing
600
he was there.
cupcakes?
Yep.
What?
Tim's wishing he was there.
Oh,
Boy, did I miss it.
yeah, well, I took home 3, one for each of the people that live in my house. Well, let's just say I took home 3. But anyway, they just did a fabulous job. I can't thank them enough, and I believe $500.
It's $538, and then we got $50 in gift cards.
Wow.
So we donated all of those to, today to the St. Paul's pantry.
That's
Which is
amazing.
really awesome.
That's great. Yep. So thank you to the community who came out and did that. And then last night, Dr. DeFalco, Matt, and I attended a meeting with the Blackstone Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen to try to get conversations going. One of the things that was very clear is that we as a school committee need to do a better job, not of having like big joint meetings, but developing relationships with our members in our towns. I had the sense they don't feel connected. And so if you have members that you know on those boards or have opportunities to reach out to them, I think we have to do that in both communities. And I'm looking forward to our capital meetings that'll start discussion, and then we'll have budget meetings, and so we'll see them a lot more, but the more personal we can make it, I think the better we'll all be. Anyone else? Anyone else?
I want to congratulate the band and volleyball again. I know I was not at the last meeting when you talked about jackets in the beginning of this policy, but the meeting before that, I mean, school spirit, I would love to see more teams wearing those jackets, and it's super exciting that we had 2 groups in here tonight. So I just want to congratulate them all again. And I heard the kids were pretty excited. Like, as soon as they won, they knew that meant a jacket. So volleyball and band, so.
Great.
Just to add on to Erin, I think a huge thank you should go out to the community. Sporting events and marching band events this fall. I've never seen such big crowds at all of them, and I think that's such a testament to the support that a lot of these kids had. And girls soccer made it into the power rankings. They lost Millbury in the first game, but there were other students there, past students were there to watch them. So it was just and I know I went to the Bellingham home show for band, and to see the number of people that were there.
Right,
It was a
School
great
spirit,
season for all of those kids.
I saw the video of them coming home. I was working that night, but I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't even have a kid in any of these programs, but the pride and seeing like them coming through, it just like, it makes me so proud to be part of the community. And, you know, neither of my kids ever wanted to be part of band. I am not in the least musically inclined. But it's such a prideful moment.
Yeah,
She's so proud, right?
Yes.
Agreed. Anyone else? Okay, December 1st, we have a joint meeting, as part of the capital planning. And then December 9th, we have a public forum that starts at 5:30 before our regular school committee meeting at 6. And
That was fixed. Yes, that was fixed.
that was fixed.
That was why it
Okay.
was reposted. Yep.
Okay, all right. That's it.
So we have a meeting, capital planning meeting on December 1st?
December 1st,
Not
it's
the
a
10th.
joint, it's a joint town finance committee, capital committees in the town. Board of Selectmen from both towns have all been invited with the capital planning committee to get the first look at next steps.
And that's at 5:30.
5:30, right Sarah, 5:30?
Yes.
Yeah. That's December 1st.
I think I sent out an invite for everyone's calendar. Did I do that?
I think you did.
Yes,
I
I
just-
can double check,
Is
but I
the-
believe.
Joint part of it on the 1st at 5:30, or is it just capital planning at 5:30 and then the joint meeting is 6:30?
Capital planning is
Six or
capital planning on the 1st is 5:30, and then the
The
joint
joint-
meeting is 6:30.
Oh, 6:30.
Yep. Oh, you just.
Okay. So 6:30 for us, us's that aren't in the.
Oh, Jane, you're gonna be there at
I know.
5:30.
I got you, I'm good, Sarah.
Right, so do all of us need to be there at 5:30?
6:30.
6:30.
If you're not on the capital planning subcommittee, 6:30. I thought it was 6, sorry.
All right, so this original, the one that came in our packet is wrong.
That is correct.
So the
Yeah.
A
Sorry
is
about
now
that. I
December
fixed it the
1st.
first time, and then the wrong one was sent out.
Right.
So then, I didn't know until Carrie sent me today. She said, this doesn't look right.
I was comparing the dates to my
Yeah.
calendar. I'm like, a Friday night? What am I thinking, a Friday night?
So A and C should be December 1st on the original. Is that what we all have still? That's what I have. District-wide community meeting.
Yeah, because one is saying the
Yeah.
9th,
A
and the
is
other
the
is the
9th
10th.
at 5:30. C is the, no, hold on,
No.
Nope, the capital planning
A is the
subcommittee.
1st.
A is the 1st.
Yes.
A is the 1st.
C is
C
the
is the
1st.
1st. And then B is correct.
And B is correct. Got it. That's what I have on my calendar, but it's,
Yeah.
Wait, I'm not
no,
sure
no, no.
that's not
C
correct
is-
either.
C is, let me, I'll explain.
Let's
it.
just do the
December
dates.
1st.
December 1st. Yeah, go.
At 6:30 is the joint meeting. At 5:30, just before that, the capital planning meeting is meeting. The capital committee is meeting. But the everybody there meeting is December 1st at 6:30. December 9th at 5:30 is the capital planning hearing.
Yeah, I don't know what this community meeting,
all right, that, maybe I thought that's what it meant.
Yeah, no, that's,
joint
then-
meeting on the 1st.
Yeah.
and then
Okay.
we have a school committee meeting after the
Hearing?
public hearing.
On the 9th. School committee meeting on the 9th.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. What?
I know, clear as mud.
It's clear as mud.
1st and the 9th, book your calendar.
But I have them on my
Clarify
calendar.
anything
I'm
again?
good.
I want to make sure everybody has it. No?
No, you sent us.
Just send it to me in email.
Yeah, I'll just grab the new agenda that was sent with.
All right.
in writing.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn. Oh, no, we had motion to move into executive session, not to return to adjourn. in executive session?
I so move.
All right, is there a second? Carrie? We
Carrie.
have to do roll call, so Carrie, Tim,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Jane, yes, Erin,
Yes.
Tara,
Yes.
Amanda.
Yes.
All right, Jesse, we are adjourned to move into executive session, so you're good to close up shop. Thank you all.